You people who serve tables, you have no education. You know nothing. You are nothing. Victoria Ashford spat the words in Mandarin. Her lips curled into a sneer, convinced the waiter standing before her couldn't understand a single syllable. Marcus Chen understood every word. He understood the insult. He understood the cruelty. He understood that this woman had just made the biggest mistake of her life. What Victoria Ashford didn't know was that the man holding her menu had once translated for 3 presidents, and the response he was about to deliver, in flawless, devastating Mandarin, would destroy her empire before she finished her appetizer. Drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story reaches. Subscribe and hit that bell. Justice is about to be served, and you don't want to miss a single word. You are nothing. The words hung in the air like poison. Marcus Chen stood perfectly still. His hands didn't tremble. His face didn't change. But inside his chest, something shifted. Something that had been sleeping for 3 years. Victoria Ashford sat back in her chair, arms crossed, waiting for confusion. Waiting for the stammering apology. Waiting for the blank stare of an uneducated servant who didn't know the difference between Mandarin and gibberish. She was about to be disappointed. But first, let me tell you how Marcus Chen ended up here. Standing in a French restaurant in Manhattan, wearing shoes held together with duct tape, being insulted by a woman who had never worked a day in her life. 3 hours earlier. "Daddy, do I have to take the yucky medicine again?" Lily Chen was 5 years old. She had her mother's eyes, dark, bright, full of questions. She also had a hole in her heart that cost $8,000 a month to treat. "Yeah, baby girl, you have to take it." "But it tastes like feet." Marcus laughed. It was the first time he'd laughed all day. "How do you know what feet taste like?" "Tommy Nguyen dared me to lick my shoe at recess." "And you did it?" "I had to, Daddy. It was a dare." Marcus shook his head, but he was smiling. He poured the liquid medication into a small cup, added a splash of apple juice, the trick Emily had discovered before she died, and handed it to his daughter. Lily held her nose and drank it in one gulp. Good girl. "Daddy?" "Yeah?" "Is Mommy watching us from the stars tonight?" Marcus felt his throat tighten. 3 years, and the question still hit him like a truck. "Yeah, baby. She's always watching." "Good. I want her to see me be brave." Marcus knelt down and pulled his daughter into his arms. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and graham crackers. She was so small, so fragile, so perfect. "You're the bravest person I know, Lily." "Braver than you?" "Way braver than me." The doorbell rang. Mrs. Patterson from next door, the retired teacher who watched Lily during Marcus's night shifts. "Okay, sweetheart, Mrs. Patterson's here. You be good, okay?" "I'm always good." "That's debatable." Lily giggled. Marcus kissed her forehead and grabbed his jacket. At the door, he paused. He looked back at his daughter, already showing Mrs. Patterson the drawing she'd made at school. $8,000 a month. That's what it cost to keep her alive. Marcus worked 6 nights a week. He hadn't bought new clothes in 2 years. He ate 1 meal a day so Lily could have 3. The safety pin holding up his pants had been there for a month. But she was alive. She was laughing. She was brave. That was all that mattered. "Chen, you're late." Richard Holloway, floor manager of Laroni, was waiting at the service entrance. His face looked like he'd been sucking lemons. "I'm 3 minutes early, Richard." "Don't get smart with me. We have a VIP tonight. Victoria Ashford. You know who that is?" Marcus knew. Everyone in New York knew Victoria Ashford. Real estate mogul. Corporate raider. The woman who bought apartment buildings and evicted elderly tenants so she could convert units into luxury condos. She was worth $400 million and had the soul of a calculator. I know who she is. Good. Then you know she tips 5% and treats staff like garbage. But she brings clients here 3 times a week. Foreign investors, big spenders. So you smile, you bow, and you take whatever she dishes out. Understood. I mean it, Chen. No attitude, no pride. You're a waiter. Act like one. Marcus bit back the response that rose in his throat. 3 years ago, he would have told Holloway exactly where he could put his advice. 3 years ago, Marcus Chen had been someone. He'd worn tailored suits. He'd sat in rooms where history was made. He'd shaken hands with presidents and translated their words into 7 languages. But 3 years ago, Emily was alive. 3 years ago, Lily didn't need surgery. 3 years ago, Marcus Chen had choices. Now he had a daughter who needed him and a job that paid the bills. Understood, he said again. The dining room of Leroni smelled like money and arrogance. Marcus moved through the tables, refilling water glasses, reciting specials, absorbing the casual cruelty of people who had never struggled for anything. Waiter, this bread is cold. Waiter, the lighting is too bright. Waiter, I don't like the way you're standing. He absorbed it all. He smiled. He apologized. He played the role. At table 6, an older couple was celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. The man, white-haired, gentle-faced, was holding his wife's hand across the table. 50 years, the man said to Marcus. Can you believe it? 50 years with this woman. That's beautiful, sir. Congratulations. You married, son? The question hit Marcus in the chest. I was. She passed away 3 years ago. The old man's face softened. I'm sorry. Thank you. We had 8 good years. Kids? A daughter. She's 5. Then you're a lucky man. Hold on to her tight. I do, sir. Every day. Marcus walked away before the old man could see the tears forming in his eyes. Chen, table 1. She's here. Marcus turned toward the entrance. Victoria Ashford walked into Leroni like she owned the building. She probably did. She was tall, mid-40s, wearing black that cost more than Marcus made in a month. Her face was sharp, angular, beautiful in the way that a weapon is beautiful. Behind her trailed a young man with the posture of someone who didn't belong. This was Derek, her date. Fitness influencer, Instagram famous, clearly uncomfortable. Victoria didn't wait to be seated. She walked straight to table 1, the best spot in the house, and claimed it like a throne. Marcus approached. Good evening. Welcome to Leroni. My name is Marcus, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Victoria didn't look at him. She was examining the silverware. Sparkling water, reserve wine list. Make sure the glasses aren't spotted like last time. Of course, ma'am. And stand up straight. You're slouching. It's unprofessional. Marcus wasn't slouching. He hadn't slouched since his training at the State Department, where posture was considered a form of communication. Yes, ma'am. Victoria finally looked up. Her eyes traveled from his face to his shoes, the cracked, cheap shoes, and back up to his hands. She saw the calluses. She saw the wedding ring tan line. She saw everything she needed to see. You may go, she said, dismissing him like a servant in a period drama. Marcus walked away. At the service station, Tanya the bartender was watching. She's going to eat you alive, Marcus. I've survived worse. Have you? Marcus didn't answer. He had survived worse. He had survived the phone call telling him Emily was dead. He had survived the funeral. He had survived the nights when Lily cried for her mother and he had nothing to give her but empty promises. Victoria Ashford was nothing compared to that. 20 minutes later, the trouble started. "This wine is corked." Marcus paused. He had opened the bottle himself. He had smelled the cork. It was perfect. "I apologize, ma'am. I opened it myself just moments ago. Perhaps it needs time to—" Victoria slammed her palm on the table. The crystal rattled. The conversations around them stopped. Every eye in the restaurant turned toward table 1. "Are you arguing with me?" Her voice carried across the dining room. This wasn't a complaint. This was a performance. "No, ma'am. I'll bring the sommelier immediately." "Don't bother. Just take it back. And the foie gras. It looks rubbery. I've lost my appetite." Marcus took the plate. He took the wine. He walked toward the kitchen. Behind him, he heard Victoria's voice, loud enough to carry. "This is what happens when restaurants hire from the bottom of the barrel. No standards, no education, no class." Derek shifted uncomfortably. "Victoria, maybe—" "Don't defend them, Derek. These people need to learn their place." Marcus kept walking. His jaw was tight, but his face was blank. In the kitchen, Henri the chef dipped a spoon into the rejected foie gras. "Rubbery? This is perfect. That woman is insane." "She's putting on a show." "For who?" "For herself, for her date, for everyone watching." Marcus leaned against the counter. "She needs to feel powerful by making others feel small." Henri studied him. "You sound like you've met this type before." "I spent 4 years at the United Nations, Henri. I've met every type." "Then you know you can't win." "I know." "So don't try." Marcus nodded. He picked up fresh menus and walked back into the dining room. Victoria was waiting. She had the look of a predator who had spotted weakness. Her eyes gleamed with anticipated cruelty. "There you are. Took long enough." "I apologize for the wait, ma'am." "I'm meeting with Chinese investors tomorrow. Very important deal. Hundreds of millions." She paused, savoring what was coming. "I've been practicing my Mandarin. Let me see if you can keep up." Derek frowned. "Victoria, I don't think—" "Quiet, Derek. I'm having fun." She turned to Marcus. And then she did it. She switched to Mandarin. Textbook Mandarin. The kind taught in expensive executive courses. Her tones were wrong. Her rhythm was awkward. Her word choices were crude and condescending. But her meaning was perfectly clear. "Listen to me carefully, waiter. Tell the chef I want the duck. Make the skin crispy, not soggy like your service. And bring better wine. Something that doesn't taste like the poverty you came from." She leaned forward, enjoying herself. "Do you understand?" "Of course you don't. You people who serve tables, you have no education. You know nothing. You are nothing. Your brain is too small. Your life is too small. You probably have some sad little apartment with some sad little family, and you'll die without ever mattering to anyone." She sat back, crossing her arms, waiting for the blank stare. Derek looked horrified. "Victoria, that was—" "He doesn't understand, Derek. Watch his face. He's completely lost." At the corner table, an older Chinese gentleman lowered his newspaper. He had been reading quietly all evening. Now he was watching intently, his face unreadable. Marcus stood perfectly still. The sounds of the restaurant faded away. He thought about Lily. He thought about Emily. He thought about the 18-hour days at the United Nations, translating for diplomats who shaped the fate of nations. He thought about the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, where he had stood beside the President of the United States. He thought about the countless hours mastering not just Mandarin, but the classical forms, the poetry, the idioms, the ancient art of destroying an opponent without raising your voice. Victoria Ashford thought she was speaking to an uneducated servant. She was wrong. Marcus looked at her smug face. He clasped his hands in front of his apron. He tilted his head slightly, and then he opened his mouth. What came out was not the broken Mandarin of a confused waiter. What came out was the most beautiful, elegant, devastating Mandarin that Victoria Ashford had ever heard. It flowed like water over ancient stones, smooth, precise, and absolutely lethal. Marcus spoke in the classical dialect, the formal register used in imperial courts and diplomatic negotiations. His tones were perfect. His rhythm was flawless. His word choices were so sophisticated that Victoria understood perhaps one word in 5. But the tone, the undeniable, crushing weight of intellectual superiority, needed no translation. "Madam," Marcus began, his voice carrying with quiet authority, "if you intend to use Mandarin with your investors tomorrow, I respectfully suggest you hire a tutor who can correct your tonal catastrophes. Your third tone rises when it should fall, transforming 'I want' into 'I beg.' A rather unfortunate mistake for someone attempting to negotiate from a position of strength." Victoria's face went white. "Furthermore," Marcus continued, "your vocabulary suggests you learned from a phrase book rather than a human being. The phrase you used for crispy, quay, also means brittle or fragile. In classical poetry, it's used to describe things that break easily, like reputations, like business deals, like the facade of sophistication you've constructed around yourself." He paused, letting the words settle. "As for the wine, it is not vinegar. It is a 2015 Chateau Margaux, one of the finest Bordeaux vintages of the decade. The acidity you taste is the signature of young tannins, which require, forgive me, a cultivated palate to appreciate. If this is too complex for you, I would be happy to bring something sweeter. A simple Merlot, perhaps, more suited to simpler tastes." Victoria's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Marcus wasn't finished. "You called me nothing," he said quietly. "You called me uneducated. Allow me to correct your mistake." He took a breath. "I have a master's degree in international relations from Georgetown University. I spent 4 years as a diplomatic translator at the United Nations, where I worked in 7 languages: Mandarin, French, Arabic, Russian, Spanish, German, and English. I have stood in rooms where treaties were signed and history was made. I have translated for presidents and prime ministers. I have earned the respect of people whose names you only read in headlines." Victoria's face was cycling through shock, disbelief, and something that looked very much like fear. "I am here tonight," Marcus continued, "because my wife died 3 years ago. I am here because my daughter has a heart condition that costs $8,000 a month to treat. I'm here because I work nights so I can take her to her doctors during the day. I'm here because being a father is more important than being important." He looked directly into Victoria's eyes. "You asked if I was nothing. Let me tell you what I know about nothing, ma'am. Nothing is an empty house after a funeral. Nothing is explaining to a 5-year-old why mommy isn't coming home. Nothing is the sound of your own heartbreak when you realize you'd trade every accomplishment, every title, every handshake with every president, just to have one more day with the woman you loved." His voice dropped. "You have $400 million. But you sit here alone, performing cruelty for entertainment, needing an audience of strangers to feel powerful. You have everything money can buy, and you have nothing that matters." The silence in the restaurant was absolute. Derek was staring at Marcus with something like awe. The old couple at table 6 had stopped eating. The Chinese gentleman at the corner table slowly began to nod. Marcus stepped back. "I will put in your order for the duck, ma'am." And I'll bring the Merlot. I think you'll find it much easier to swallow." He gave a precise bow, not servile, but formal, the kind he had learned in diplomatic training. Then he turned and walked away. He didn't hurry. He didn't look back. Behind him, Victoria Ashford sat frozen, her mouth still open, her face the color of ash. At the corner table, the Chinese gentleman picked up his phone. "Cancel tomorrow's meeting with Ashford Development," he said quietly in Mandarin. "I've seen everything I need to see." Marcus made it to the service corridor before his legs gave out. He slumped against the wall, his hands shaking, his breath coming in ragged gasps. What have I done? The thought crashed through him like a wave. He had just humiliated a woman worth $400 million. He had just destroyed his career. He had just lost the job that paid for Lily's medication. $8,000 a month. Where would it come from now? He slid down the wall until he was sitting on the cold tile floor. Lily's face flashed in his mind. Her smile. Her laugh. The way she said, "Daddy," when he picked her up from daycare. "Daddy, is Mommy watching us from the stars?" Oh God, what have I done? Chen. The voice was ice. Marcus looked up. Richard Holloway was standing over him, his face twisted with rage. "Get up. Now." Marcus stood. "What the hell did you say to her?" "I don't speak Chinese, but I know the sound of a career-ending disaster." "She insulted me. I responded." "You responded to a VIP? Do you have any idea what she can do to this restaurant? To you?" "I know exactly what she can do." "Then you know you're finished." Holloway's voice dropped to a hiss. "Stay in the back. Don't go near that table. If she demands to see you, I'm calling the police myself. I will destroy you to save this restaurant." Marcus said nothing. "Go. Polish silverware. Pray she doesn't make this worse." Marcus walked toward the kitchen. But before he reached the doors, Holloway's voice stopped him. "Chen, one more thing." Marcus turned. Holloway's face was unreadable. "That thing you said, about being a father being more important than being important? What about it?" Holloway was silent for a long moment. Then, "I have 2 kids. Haven't seen them in 3 years. Divorce." He looked away. "Maybe I understand more than you think." It was the most human thing Holloway had ever said to him. Marcus nodded once and pushed through the kitchen doors. In the kitchen, Henri was waiting. "I heard everything. The whole staff was listening at the door." "Great. So everyone knows I'm fired." "You're not fired yet. And Marcus," Henri grabbed his arm, "that was the most magnificent thing I've ever witnessed in 30 years of working in restaurants." "It was stupid. It was brave. There's a difference." Marcus grabbed a polishing cloth and started working on the silverware. His hands were still trembling. "Marcus!" It was Kevin, the teenage busboy. His face was pale. "What is it?" "Table 1. Ashford, she's—" Kevin swallowed. "She's saying you stole her bracelet." Marcus dropped the fork. "She what?" "She's screaming that you stole her diamond bracelet. She says she took it off of the table and now it's gone. She's calling the police. She wants you arrested. Everyone's filming." The blood drained from Marcus's face. It was a lie. A calculated, devastating, career-destroying lie. Victoria couldn't get him fired for speaking better Mandarin than her. That would make her look weak. But theft? Theft was a criminal charge. Theft was a record. Theft meant never working again, never passing a background check, never explaining to future employers why he was handcuffed in a French restaurant. And if he couldn't work... Lily, the medication, the surgery, the $8,000 a month that kept her alive. Victoria wasn't trying to humiliate him anymore. She was trying to destroy him. Marcus untied his apron. "What are you doing?" Kevin asked. "Going out there." "Are you crazy? She'll have you arrested." "If I hide, I look guilty." Marcus met Kevin's eyes. "My daughter needs me. I can't run from this." He straightened his shirt. He thought of Emily, what she would tell him to do. "Be strong, Marcus. Be brave. The truth is the only thing that matters." "Okay," he said quietly. "Okay." He pushed through the swinging doors and walked back into the dining room. Victoria Ashford was standing in the center of the restaurant, pointing at the kitchen entrance, her voice carrying across the room like a siren. "There he is! The thief! Someone call the police!" Every phone in the room was raised, recording. Marcus walked toward her. His heart was pounding. His daughter's face flashed in his mind. And somewhere in the corner of his eye, he saw the Chinese gentleman slowly rise from his chair, newspaper folded under his arm, and begin walking toward the confrontation. Marcus walked toward Victoria Ashford. Every step felt like walking through water. The dining room had transformed into an arena, and he was the gladiator everyone expected to fall. Phones tracked his movement. Whispers rippled through the tables. The air itself seemed to thicken with anticipation. Victoria's finger was still pointed at him, trembling with theatrical rage. "Stop right there," she commanded. "Don't come any closer. I don't want him touching me. Someone call 911. Now!" Marcus stopped 10 feet away from her. His voice was calm, steadier than he felt. "I didn't take your bracelet, Ms. Ashford." "Liar!" Victoria's voice cracked like a whip. "I took it off right here, on this table, not 20 minutes ago. I went to the restroom. When I came back, it was gone. You're the only one who came near my table." "That's not true." "Are you calling me a liar?" Victoria stepped toward him, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. "Do you know what that bracelet is worth? $60,000. Cartier. My grandmother's. And you—" She jabbed her finger at his chest, stopping just short of touching him. "You thought you could humiliate me with your little language trick and then steal from me? Is that how this works?" Derek, still seated at the table, looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "Victoria, maybe we should just—" "Shut up, Derek." Victoria didn't even look at him. Her eyes were locked on Marcus. "I want everyone in this restaurant to see what happens when the help forgets their place. I want everyone to see what happens when a thief thinks he can outsmart Victoria Ashford." Richard Holloway materialized at Marcus's side, his face slick with sweat. "Ms. Ashford, please, let's not make a scene. I'm sure this is all a misunderstanding. We can resolve this quietly, in my office." "Quietly?" Victoria laughed. It was an ugly sound. "No, I don't do quietly. I want this man searched. Right here, right now, in front of everyone. And when that bracelet falls out of his pocket, I want him arrested. I want him prosecuted. I want his face on the evening news so every restaurant in Manhattan knows what happens when you hire from the gutter." Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. This wasn't about the bracelet. This had never been about the bracelet. This was revenge, pure and simple. He had embarrassed her with his Mandarin, stripped away her mask of sophistication in front of her date and every patron in the restaurant. Now she was going to destroy him. And the worst part was, she could do it. Even if the bracelet was never found, even if she had planted the whole thing, the accusation alone would be enough. His name would be in police reports. His face would be on social media. No restaurant would hire him. No background check would clear him. $8,000 a month. Lily. "I'll empty my pockets," Marcus said quietly. "I have nothing to hide." Victoria's smile widened. "Oh, I'm counting on that. But first, I want everyone to see you squirm." She turned to the crowd, spreading her arms like an actress taking the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for disrupting your evening, but I believe we have a teaching moment here. This man," she gestured at Marcus, "decided that because he speaks a foreign language, he's somehow better than the rest of us. He decided to lecture me, to condescend to me, in my own language." A murmur ran through the crowd. Some people looked confused. Others looked entertained, as if this were dinner theater included with a prix. "And now," Victoria continued, "he's decided to help himself to my jewelry, because that's what people like him do. They smile to your face and steal from you the moment you turn your back. It's in their nature." Marcus felt the heat rise in his face, but he kept his voice level. "Ms. Ashford, I understand you're upset, but making accusations without evidence—" "Without evidence?" Victoria's voice rose to a shriek. "I know what I saw. I know what I had. And I know it's gone. The only question is where you hid it. Your locker? Your car? Did you slip it to one of your little friends in the kitchen?" "I don't have a car, and I don't have a locker. I keep my things in a paper bag behind the dish station." How touching. The poor, honest waiter with his paper bag. Victoria's lip curled. "Search him. Someone search him right now, or I swear to God I will buy this restaurant tomorrow and fire every single person in it." Holloway stepped forward, his hands raised in supplication. "Ms. Ashford, please. The police are on their way. Let's let them handle this professionally." "The police are too slow. I want answers now." She grabbed Marcus's arm. Her fingers dug into his bicep, her nails sharp even through his shirt. She yanked him toward the center of the room, positioning him under the brightest light, making sure every camera had a clear shot. "Empty your pockets," she hissed. "Let everyone see what kind of man you really are." Marcus looked at her hand on his arm. He looked at her face, the rage, the cruelty, the absolute certainty that she was untouchable. He thought about pulling away. He thought about demanding a lawyer. He thought about all the things a smarter man would do. But then he thought about Lily. If he resisted, it would look like guilt. If he ran, it would be an admission. The only way through this was forward. He reached into his pockets. Left pocket, a folded $5 bill, his emergency subway fare. Right pocket, a photograph, worn soft at the edges. Lily on her 4th birthday, chocolate frosting on her nose, laughing at the camera. Back pocket, his wallet. Inside, $7, a maxed-out credit card, and a picture of Emily on their wedding day. He laid everything on the nearest table. "That's it," he said. "That's everything I have." Victoria stared at the meager pile. Her jaw tightened. "Check his shoes, his socks. He could have hidden it anywhere." "Ms. Ashford," Holloway started. "Do it." Marcus bent down and removed his shoes. The left one had a crack in the sole. The right one was held together with duct tape. He pulled off his socks and stood barefoot on the cold floor. "Nothing," he said. "I have nothing." Victoria's face was turning red. This wasn't going according to script. She had expected him to crumble, to confess, to beg. Instead, he was standing there, barefoot and dignified, with nothing but $7 and a photograph of his daughter. "He must have passed it to someone," Victoria said, her voice rising. "Check the kitchen staff. Check the busboys. Someone is hiding it for him." "Miss Ashford." A new voice cut through the chaos. It was deep, calm, and carried an accent that Marcus recognized immediately. The Chinese gentleman from the corner table had approached without anyone noticing. He was older, perhaps late 60s, with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. He moved with the slow, deliberate grace of someone who had never needed to hurry for anything in his life. "Who the hell are you?" Victoria snapped. "My name is Wei Zhongshan," the man said simply. Victoria's expression flickered. The name meant something to her, but she couldn't quite place it. I don't care who you are. This is a private matter. On the contrary, Wei's voice was soft, but carried across the silent restaurant. You have made it a very public matter. You have accused this man of theft in front of 50 witnesses. You have demanded he be searched and humiliated. You have threatened to destroy his livelihood. He paused. I believe I am entitled to observe the conclusion of such a spectacle. Victoria's eyes narrowed. Fine, observe, but stay out of my way. Wei inclined his head slightly. Then he turned to Marcus. Young man, you say you did not take the bracelet. I did not. And you have emptied your pockets, removed your shoes. You have nothing. Nothing. Wei nodded slowly. Then he turned back to Victoria. Ms. Ashford, before you called the police, before you began this public accusation, did you check your own belongings? Victoria stiffened. Excuse me? Your coat, your purse, your pockets. Wei's voice was patient, almost gentle. In my experience, lost items are most often found in the last place one remembers having them. I didn't lose anything. It was stolen. Perhaps, or perhaps, in your eagerness to punish this man for embarrassing you, you forgot where you placed it. Victoria's face flushed. How dare you? Your left coat pocket, Wei said quietly. The one you patted when you stood up to begin this performance. I noticed because it is a distinctive gesture, the unconscious checking of something valuable. You did it 3 times before you made your accusation. The room went still. Victoria's hand twitched toward her coat, which was draped over the back of her chair. Then she caught herself. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to dignify this with, check the pocket, Ms. Ashford. No. Then you have something to hide. I have nothing to hide. Then check the pocket. The silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Derek, who had been frozen in his chair throughout the confrontation, suddenly stood up. Victoria, just check the pocket. If it's not there, it's not there. But if it is... He didn't finish the sentence. Victoria glared at him. You're taking his side? I'm taking the side of the truth. Just check it. For a long moment, Victoria didn't move. The cameras were still recording. The crowd was watching. She was trapped, and she knew it. Slowly, as if moving through molasses, she reached for her coat. Her hand slid into the left pocket, and stopped. Her face went pale. Well? Wei asked. Victoria pulled her hand out. Between her fingers, glittering under the restaurant lights, was a diamond bracelet. Cartier, $60,000. Her grandmother's. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Victoria's voice cracked. I don't understand. I didn't... You didn't put it there? Wei's voice was ice. Just as you didn't humiliate this man in a language you barely speak. Just as you didn't manufacture a false accusation to destroy his career, because he had the audacity to be more educated than you. Victoria opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Wei stepped closer to her, lowering his voice so only those nearby could hear. I know exactly who you are, Ms. Ashford. I have been watching you all evening. I watched you belittle the staff. I watched you send back perfect food and perfect wine. I watched you speak Mandarin like a toddler with a phrase book, and then mock this man for his response. He leaned in. And I watched you put that bracelet in your pocket before you went to the restroom. I suspect you planned this little drama from the moment he humiliated you. You couldn't bear to be outsmarted by a waiter, so you decided to frame him for theft. Victoria's face had gone from pale to gray. You can't prove that, she whispered. I don't need to prove it. Everyone in this room just watched you pull your own bracelet out of your own pocket after accusing an innocent man of stealing it. The court of public opinion has already rendered its verdict. Wei turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption to your evening. It seems Miss Ashford has found her missing bracelet in her coat pocket, where she put it herself. Nervous laughter rippled through the restaurant. Someone started clapping. Others joined in. Victoria stood frozen, the bracelet dangling from her fingers, her face a mask of humiliation. Derek picked up his jacket from the back of his chair. Derek! Victoria's voice was sharp. Where are you going? Home. We came together. We're leaving separately. Derek looked at her with something that might have been pity, or might have been disgust. I don't know who you are, Victoria, but I don't think I want to find out. He walked out of the restaurant without looking back. Victoria watched him go. Then she turned to Marcus. Her eyes were blazing with humiliation and rage. But there was something else there too. Fear. The fear of someone who had just realized their power had limits.
This isn't over, she said quietly. You think you've won something here? You've won nothing. I will destroy you. I will find out where you live, where your daughter goes to school, where your wife is buried. I will make your life so miserable, you'll wish you'd never been born. Marcus felt something cold wash through him at the mention of Lily, at the mention of Emily's grave. But before he could respond, Wei stepped between them. Miss Ashford, I would advise you to stop talking. Who do you think you are? I told you my name, Wei Zhongshan. That means nothing to me. Then allow me to clarify. Wei's voice was calm, almost conversational. I am the chairman of Zhongshan Holdings. We are one of the largest investment conglomerates in Asia. We have offices in Beijing, Shanghai, Singapore, Tokyo, and, as of next month, New York. Victoria's face changed. The name had finally clicked. Zhongshan Holdings, she repeated slowly. Yes, the same Zhongshan Holdings that was scheduled to meet with you tomorrow morning to discuss a $200 million investment in your real estate portfolio. The color drained from Victoria's face completely. Mr. Wei, I had no idea. Clearly. This is all a misunderstanding. If you'll just let me explain. There is nothing to explain. I came to this restaurant tonight specifically to observe you, Miss Ashford. In my culture, we believe that character is revealed in how one treats those who cannot fight back. I wanted to see how you treated the staff, the servers, the people you consider beneath you. He paused. I have seen enough. Mr. Wei, please, we can discuss this in private. The deal... There is no deal. There was never going to be a deal after what I witnessed tonight. But now? Wei shook his head. Now I will make certain that every investor in my network knows exactly what kind of person Victoria Ashford is. By morning, you will not be able to borrow money to buy a cup of coffee. Victoria's mouth opened and closed. She looked like a fish pulled from water. You can't do that. I can, and I will. Wei turned away from her. Our business is concluded, Miss Ashford. I suggest you leave before you embarrass yourself further. For a moment, Victoria stood there, paralyzed. The queen of the room had been dethroned in front of her subjects. The cameras that had been pointed at Marcus were now pointed at her. She grabbed her coat and her purse. She didn't look at anyone. She walked toward the door with her head down, moving fast, almost running. At the entrance, she paused. She turned back, searching for Marcus in the crowd. Their eyes met. Marcus expected to see hatred. Instead, he saw something worse. The desperate, wounded look of someone who had just realized they were no longer untouchable. Then she was gone, disappearing into the Manhattan night, leaving behind nothing but the lingering poison of her threats. The restaurant erupted into noise, conversations, laughter, the clattering of silverware as people returned to their meals. The show was over. The villain had been vanquished. But Marcus didn't feel victorious. He felt hollow. He was still standing barefoot in the middle of the dining room. His shoes and socks were still on the floor. His $7 and his photograph of Lily were still spread out on a stranger's table. He bent down and started gathering his things. "Mr. Chen." Marcus looked up. Wei Zhongshan was standing over him. "That is your name, yes? Marcus Chen?" Marcus straightened slowly. "Yes, sir. I recognized your Mandarin, the diplomatic register, the classical forms." Wei studied him with those sharp, knowing eyes. "You were not always a waiter." "No, sir, I was not." "United Nations?" Marcus nodded. "I thought so. I attended a conference in Geneva in 2019. The translation was exceptional. I remember thinking that the translator understood not just the words, but the meaning behind the words." Wei paused. "That was you, wasn't it?" "It might have been. I translated many conferences." "Why did you leave?" Marcus was silent for a moment. Then, "My wife died. My daughter was sick. I needed to be home." Wei nodded slowly, as if this confirmed something he had already suspected. "You mentioned your daughter earlier. A heart condition." "Yes." "How old is she?" 5. 5. Wei's expression softened. "I have grandchildren that age. They are the light of my life." He paused. "Mr. Chen, I would like to speak with you. Not here, this is not the place. But I believe we may be able to help each other." Marcus frowned. "I don't understand." "You will." Wei reached into his jacket and produced a business card. Cream-colored, simple, elegant. "Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, my hotel." The address is on the card. Marcus took the card. His hands were still shaking. "Mr. Wei, I appreciate what you did tonight, but I can't." "You can, and you will." Wei's voice was firm, but not unkind. "A man with your talents should not be polishing silverware and enduring insults. There is a better path for you, Mr. Chen. A path that will allow you to provide for your daughter without sacrificing your dignity." Marcus stared at the card. Zhongshan Holdings. The address of a hotel that cost more per night than he made in a month. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why would you help me? You don't know me." Wei smiled. It was the first genuine smile Marcus had seen all night. "Because I was you once. 40 years ago, I was a young man with nothing but my mind and my languages. I cleaned offices in Hong Kong. I served tea to businessmen who looked right through me. And then one day, someone saw me. Someone gave me a chance." He paused. "I have been waiting a long time to return that favor." He placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Go home to your daughter, Mr. Chen. Tell her you love her. And tomorrow, come see me. We have much to discuss." Wei turned and walked toward the exit, moving with that same slow, deliberate grace. At the door, he paused and looked back. "And Mr. Chen, your Mandarin truly is exceptional. The phrase you used, about being brittle like reputation, I will remember that for a long time." Then he was gone. Marcus stood alone in the middle of the restaurant, holding a business card that felt like a lottery ticket, wearing shoes held together with duct tape, trying to process everything that had just happened. Holloway appeared at his elbow. "Chen, my office, now." Marcus followed him through the kitchen, past the staring staff, into the small, cluttered office behind the walk-in freezer. Holloway closed the door. "Sit down." Marcus sat. Holloway paced back and forth, running his hands through his thinning hair. "Do you have any idea how close you came to destroying this restaurant tonight?" I didn't steal anything. I know you didn't steal anything. That's not the point. Holloway stopped pacing. The point is that Victoria Ashford is one of the most powerful women in New York. She could bury us with a single phone call. She could have health inspectors here tomorrow. She won't. You don't know that. I do. Marcus held up the business card. Wei Zhongshan just made it very clear that anyone who comes after me will have to go through him. Holloway stared at the card. His eyes widened. Wei Zhongshan. The Wei Zhongshan? From Zhongshan Holdings? That's what he said. Holloway sat down heavily in his chair. He suddenly looked very tired. How do you know Wei Zhongshan? I don't. I just met him tonight. You just met him, and he's offering you what? A job? I don't know what he's offering, but he wants to see me tomorrow. Holloway was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer, almost human. Chen, Marcus, I've been managing restaurants for 22 years. I've seen a lot of people come through these doors. Rich people, poor people, famous people, nobody people. And in all that time, I've never seen anything like what happened tonight. Marcus waited. That woman tried to destroy you. She tried to take everything you had. And you just stood there. You didn't panic. You didn't run. You just stood there. And you told the truth. What else could I do? Holloway shook his head. Most people would have crumbled. Most people would have begged. But you... He stopped. What you said to her, about being a father, being more important than being important. I keep thinking about that. It's just the truth. Yeah. Holloway looked down at his desk. My kids. My ex-wife won't let me see them. Says I was never around anyway, so what's the difference? He laughed bitterly. She's not wrong. I spent 20 years chasing the next promotion, the next restaurant, the next star review, and now I've got 3 Michelin stars and 2 kids who don't know my name. Marcus didn't know what to say. Go home, Chen. Holloway stood up. Take tomorrow off. Paid. And when you go see Mr. Wei... He paused. Whatever he's offering you, take it. Get out of this place. Go be with your daughter. Marcus stood up slowly. What about you? Holloway smiled. It was a sad smile, but it was real. Maybe I'll call my ex-wife tomorrow. See if she'll let me talk to the kids. He extended his hand. Good luck, Marcus. Marcus shook it. Thank you, Richard. He walked out of the office, through the kitchen, past Henri, who gave him a silent nod of respect, out the service entrance, and into the cold Manhattan night. The air hit his face like a slap. It was nearly midnight. The streets were still busy with taxis and pedestrians, and the endless energy of a city that never stopped moving. Marcus started walking. He walked past the glittering storefronts and the homeless men huddled in doorways. He walked past the couples holding hands and the businessmen hailing cabs. He walked until his feet ached and his lungs burned, and the cold had seeped through his thin jacket. And then he called Mrs. Patterson. Marcus, is everything okay? You're usually not done until... I'm coming home early. Is Lily asleep? Yes, she went down about an hour ago. Do you want me to... No, just... Can you stay a few more minutes? I'm almost there. I just need to see her. Of course, dear. Take your time. He hung up and walked faster. 20 minutes later, he was climbing the stairs to his apartment. 3rd floor, no elevator. Walls thin enough to hear the neighbors arguing about whose turn it was to do dishes. Mrs. Patterson met him at the door. She was an angel tonight. Drew you a picture. It's on the refrigerator. Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. Marcus, the old woman studied his face. What happened tonight? I'll tell you tomorrow. Right now, I just need to... Go. Go see your girl. Marcus walked through the small apartment to the bedroom he shared with Lily. She had the bed. He slept on a mattress on the floor. She was asleep, her dark hair spread across the pillow, her breathing slow and steady. In the faint light from the window, she looked exactly like Emily. The same cheekbones, the same curve of her lips. Marcus knelt beside the bed. "Hey, baby girl," he whispered. "Daddy's home." Lily stirred, her eyes fluttered open. "Daddy?" "Yeah, it's me." "You're early." "I know, I missed you." Lily smiled sleepily and reached out her small hand. Marcus took it. "Daddy, I had a dream." "Yeah? What about?" "Mommy, she was watching us from the stars. She said she was proud of you." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "She said that?" "Uh-huh. She said you were being brave. She said to keep being brave." Lily's eyes were already closing again. "Are you being brave, Daddy?" Marcus thought about Victoria Ashford. He thought about the accusation. He thought about standing barefoot in the middle of a restaurant while strangers filmed his humiliation. He thought about the business card in his pocket. "Yeah, baby, I'm trying." "Good." Lily squeezed his hand. "I'm proud of you too, Daddy." She was asleep again within seconds. Marcus stayed there, kneeling on the hard floor, holding his daughter's hand, watching her breathe. Tomorrow, everything might change. Tomorrow, he might walk into Wei Zhongshan's hotel and discover that it was all a joke, or a scam, or a misunderstanding. Tomorrow, Victoria Ashford might find a way to make good on her threats. Tomorrow, the whole fragile structure of his life might come crashing down. But tonight, right now, in this moment, his daughter was safe. She was breathing. She was proud of him. And that was enough. Marcus leaned forward and kissed Lily's forehead. "I love you, baby girl, more than anything in the world." Then he stood up, walked to the refrigerator, and looked at the picture she had drawn. It was a stick figure with black hair, standing next to a smaller stick figure with black hair. Above them, a yellow sun was shining, and at the top, in wobbly crayon letters, she had written, "Daddy and me." Marcus took the picture off the refrigerator. He held it in his hands for a long time. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out Wei Zhongshan's business card. He looked at the picture. He looked at the card. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Whatever was waiting for him on the other side of that door, he would face it. For Lily. For Emily. For the chance to be something more than invisible. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He lay on his mattress on the floor, staring at the ceiling, listening to Lily's soft breathing from the bed above him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Victoria Ashford's face, the rage, the humiliation, the promise of revenge. "I will find out where your daughter goes to school." The words echoed in his head like a curse. At 6 a.m, he gave up on sleep and went to the kitchen. He made coffee, the cheap instant kind that tasted like burnt rubber, and sat at the small table with Wei Zhongshan's business card in front of him. Zhongshan Holdings, the Carlisle Hotel, 10 o'clock. He had 4 hours. 4 hours to decide if this was real or if he was walking into another trap. "Daddy?" Marcus turned. Lily was standing in the doorway, rubbing her eyes, her hair tangled from sleep. "Hey, baby girl, what are you doing up so early?" "I heard you walking around." She padded over to him and climbed onto his lap. "You didn't sleep good?" "Not really. Bad dreams?" "Something like that." Lily studied his face with that serious expression she sometimes got, the one that made her look exactly like Emily. "Daddy, are you worried about something?" Marcus hesitated. He had always tried to protect Lily from the weight of their situation. She knew they didn't have much money. She knew Daddy worked at night so he could be with her during the day. But she didn't know about the bills. She didn't know how close they were to the edge. A little bit, he admitted. But it's nothing for you to worry about. Is it about the mean lady? Marcus froze. What mean lady? The one from your dream. You were talking in your sleep. You said, "Leave my daughter alone." Marcus felt his stomach clench. He hadn't realized he'd been talking. It was just a dream, baby. Nobody's going to bother us. Lily wrapped her arms around his neck and hugged him tight. I'll protect you, Daddy. If any mean ladies come, I'll tell them to go away. Marcus laughed, despite himself. You will, huh? Uh-huh. I'm very fierce. She pulled back and made a growling face. See? Grrr. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. That's right, Lily nodded seriously. So don't be scared, okay? Okay. Promise? I promise. Lily held up her pinky. Marcus hooked his own pinky around it. Pinky promise, Lily said solemnly. That's the most serious kind. I know. I won't forget. She hugged him again, and for a moment, everything else faded away. The threats, the fear, the uncertainty. There was just this. His daughter's arms around his neck, her heartbeat against his chest, the simple miracle of her existence. Daddy? Yeah? Can we have pancakes for breakfast? Marcus smiled. Yeah, baby. We can have pancakes. 2 hours later, Mrs. Patterson arrived to watch Lily. She took one look at Marcus, showered, shaved, wearing his only suit, the one he'd worn to Emily's funeral, and raised an eyebrow. Job interview? Something like that. You look nervous. I feel nervous. Mrs. Patterson patted his arm. You're a good man, Marcus Chen. Whatever this is, they'd be lucky to have you. Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. Now go, and stand up straight. First impressions matter. Marcus kissed Lily goodbye, promised to be back before lunch, and walked out of the apartment. The Carlisle Hotel was on the Upper East Side, about 40 blocks from his apartment in Queens. He could have taken the subway, but he decided to walk part of the way. He needed the time to think. The morning was crisp and clear. The city was already awake, humming with energy. Millions of people rushing to their jobs, their meetings, their lives. Marcus moved through the crowd like a ghost, invisible in his funeral suit, carrying nothing but Wei Zongshan's card and a folder with his old credentials, his Georgetown diploma, his UN identification, his letters of recommendation from ambassadors and ministers. He hadn't looked at any of it in 3 years. At 9:45, he arrived at the Carlisle. The lobby was everything he expected. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, staff in crisp uniforms moving with silent efficiency. The kind of place where people like Victoria Ashford felt at home. Marcus felt like an imposter. He approached the front desk. I'm here to see Mr. Wei Zhongshan. He's expecting me. Marcus Chen. The concierge didn't blink. Of course, Mr. Chen. Mr. Wei is waiting for you in the penthouse suite. Take the elevator on your left, top floor. Marcus rode the elevator alone. His reflection stared back at him from the mirrored walls. A tired man in a suit that was slightly too big, holding a folder of credentials from a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. The doors opened. Wei Zhongshan was standing by the window, looking out at Central Park. He turned as Marcus entered. Mr. Chen, thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. Wei gestured to a seating area. Leather chairs, a coffee table with a silver tea service. Please sit. Would you like tea? Coffee? Tea is fine, thank you. Wei poured 2 cups with practiced grace. He handed one to Marcus and sat down across from him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Wei said, "You're wondering if this is real." Marcus nodded. The thought crossed my mind. "I understand. After what happened last night, you have every reason to be suspicious of unexpected offers from wealthy strangers." Wei smiled slightly. "I assure you, Mr. Chen, my intentions are genuine. But I'm not surprised you're cautious. In fact, I would be disappointed if you weren't." "What exactly are your intentions, Mr. Wei?" Wei set down his teacup. "Straight to business. I appreciate that." He leaned back in his chair. "Mr. Chen, I'm going to tell you a story. It will take a few minutes, but I think it will help you understand why you're here." Marcus waited. 43 years ago, Wei began, I was a young man in Hong Kong. I had no money, no connections, no education. My father was a fisherman. My mother cleaned houses for wealthy families. We lived in a one-room apartment with 6 other people. He paused, his eyes distant. I was smart. Everyone said so. But being smart doesn't matter when you can't afford school. So I worked. I cleaned offices at night. I served tea in restaurants during the day. I did whatever I could to survive. What changed? A woman named Margaret Liu. Wei's face softened at the name. She was a businesswoman, one of the first successful female entrepreneurs in Hong Kong. She came into the restaurant where I worked one evening. I served her tea. And I made a mistake. What kind of mistake? I corrected her Cantonese. Marcus blinked. You corrected a customer's Cantonese? She was speaking to her assistant, and she used a phrase incorrectly, a common error, but one that would have embarrassed her in a business meeting. I overheard it, and without thinking, I said, very quietly, "Excuse me, madam, but I believe the phrase you want is," and I gave her the correct form. Wei laughed softly. Her assistant was horrified. He expected her to have me fired. But Margaret Liu looked at me with those sharp eyes of hers and said, "How does a tea server know more about Cantonese idioms than my Harvard-educated assistant?" "What did you say?" I told her the truth. I told her that I had taught myself, that I spent every spare moment reading, learning, studying, that I had memorized entire dictionaries because I couldn't afford school, but I refused to stay ignorant. And she believed you? She tested me, right there in the restaurant. She asked me questions about language, about history, about business. I answered everything. And when I was done, she gave me her card and said, "Come to my office tomorrow. I'm going to give you a chance." Wei's eyes met Marcus's. She paid for my education, Mr. Chen. She gave me my first job. She taught me everything I know about business and about life. When she died 15 years ago, she left me a letter. Do you know what it said? Marcus shook his head. It said, "I gave you a chance because someone gave me a chance. Now it's your turn to give someone else a chance." That is how we change the world. One person at a time. The room was silent. I have been waiting 40 years to fulfill that promise, Wei said quietly. I have helped many people, funded scholarships, supported entrepreneurs, opened doors for those who had none. But I have never found someone like Margaret found me. Someone whose talent was undeniable, whose character was unquestionable, whose circumstances were simply unjust. He leaned forward. Until last night. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Mr. Chen, I watched you stand barefoot in the middle of that restaurant while a woman worth $400 million tried to destroy you. I watched you tell the truth when lies would have been easier. I watched you speak about your daughter and your wife with a dignity that made Victoria Ashford look like the small, petty creature she is. Wei's voice hardened. And I watched you refuse to break. That, Mr. Chen, is rare. That is valuable. That is what I have been looking for. Marcus set down his teacup. His hands were trembling slightly. Mr. Wei, I appreciate everything you're saying. I do. But I don't understand what you're offering me. I'm a waiter. I've been out of the diplomatic world for 3 years. My contacts are gone. My skills are... Your skills are exceptional. Wei cut him off. I heard your Mandarin last night. It wasn't just fluent, it was elegant. The classical forms, the diplomatic register, the ability to insult someone so thoroughly that they don't even realize it until later. That takes decades to learn. You have it. I'm rusty. You're underutilized. There's a difference. Wei stood up and walked to a desk near the window. He picked up a folder and brought it back. Zhongshang Holdings is expanding into North America. We're opening offices in New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, and Mexico City. We need someone to head our cross-cultural communications division. Someone who can navigate between Eastern and Western business cultures. Someone who understands language not just as words, but as power. He handed the folder to Marcus. This is the job description. I think you'll find it interesting. Marcus opened the folder. His eyes scanned the first page. Director of Cross-Cultural Relations, headquarters in New York. Salary, $220,000 per year. Full benefits, housing allowance, education fund for dependents. His breath caught. It's what you're worth, Mr. Chen. Actually, it's less than you're worth. But I wanted to start conservatively. Marcus looked up. You can't be serious. I'm always serious about talent. You don't know me. You saw one moment in a restaurant. That's everything. Wei sat back down. Mr. Chen, I have interviewed thousands of people in my career. I have hired executives and fired executives. I have built companies and sold companies. And I have learned one thing above all else. You can teach skills, but you cannot teach character. A person either has integrity or they don't. They either have courage or they don't. He pointed at Marcus. You have both. Everything else can be learned. Marcus stared at the folder in his hands. $220,000. Benefits, housing allowance, Lily's surgery, the medication, the bills that kept him awake at night. There's something you should know, Marcus said slowly. Yes? Victoria Ashford. Before she left the restaurant last night, she threatened me. She said she would find out where my daughter goes to school. She said she would make my life miserable. Wei nodded. I expected as much. If I take this job, she might come after me, after your company. She's vindictive, and she has resources. Mr. Chen, Wei's voice was calm. Victoria Ashford's resources are insignificant compared to mine. And after last night, her resources are about to become significantly more limited. What do you mean? I told her I would make certain that every investor in my network knew what kind of person she was. I have already begun making calls. By the end of the week, her credit lines will be frozen. Her investors will be fleeing. Her empire, Wei smiled thinly, will be in ruins. Marcus felt a chill run through him. That seems excessive. Does it? Wei's eyes hardened. She tried to frame an innocent man for theft. She threatened his child. She would have destroyed your life without a moment's hesitation, simply because you embarrassed her. He shook his head. That is not the kind of person who should have power, Mr. Chen. I am simply correcting an imbalance. Revenge. Justice. There is a difference. Marcus was silent for a long moment. My daughter, he finally said. Lily. She has a heart condition. She needs surgery next year, specialized care, the best doctors. The job includes access to the finest medical facilities in the country. Wei's voice softened. Zhongshan Holdings has a relationship with Columbia Presbyterian. Their pediatric cardiac unit is one of the best in the world. Your daughter will be in excellent hands. Marcus felt something crack inside him, something he had been holding together for 3 years. Why? His voice was rough. Why would you do all this for someone you just met? Wei was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out an old photograph. He handed it to Marcus. It showed a young man, perhaps 19 or 20, standing outside a restaurant in Hong Kong. He was wearing a waiter's uniform. He was smiling shyly at the camera. "That was me," Wei said. 43 years ago. The day Margaret Liu gave me her card." He took the photograph back and looked at it for a long moment. "Do you know what I felt that day, Mr. Chen? I felt like someone had finally seen me. Not as a servant, not as a nobody, but as a human being with potential, with value." He looked up. "Last night, in that restaurant, I watched you stand alone against a woman who wanted to destroy you. And I thought, there is a man who deserves to be seen. There is a man whose potential is being wasted. There is a man I can help." Wei put the photograph away. "I am not doing this out of charity, Mr. Chen. I am doing this because it is right. Because someone did it for me. And because, frankly, you are exactly what my company needs." Marcus looked at the folder in his hands. He looked at Wei's face. Open, sincere, patient. He thought about Lily, about the surgery she needed, about the future he couldn't give her on a waiter's salary. He thought about Emily. What would she tell him to do? "Take the chance, Marcus. You've earned it." He could almost hear her voice. "I have conditions," Marcus said. Wei raised an eyebrow. "Name them." "I need flexibility. My daughter, she has doctor's appointments, school events. I need to be there for her. I can't be traveling constantly." "Agreed. We'll structure your role to minimize travel. And when travel is necessary, we'll accommodate your schedule." "I need time to transition. I can't just disappear from Loroni. I have to give notice. I have to take 2 weeks, 3 if you need them. The position will be waiting." Marcus took a deep breath. "And I need you to promise me something." "What?" "Victoria Ashford, whatever you do to her, don't do it in my name. Don't tell people it's because of me. I don't want revenge. I just want to move forward." Wei studied him for a long moment. Then he smiled. "You continue to impress me, Mr. Chen. Most people in your position would want blood. They would want to see her suffer publicly. I'm not most people." "No, you are not." Wei extended his hand. "We have a deal, Mr. Chen. Welcome to Zhongshan Holdings." Marcus shook his hand. It felt like waking up from a nightmare. "There's one more thing," Wei said, not releasing Marcus's hand. "What?" "Your daughter, Lily. I would like to meet her." Marcus hesitated. "Why?" "Because she is clearly the most important thing in your life. And because—" Wei's expression softened. "I have 4 grandchildren. I miss them terribly when I'm traveling. I suspect your daughter could teach me a thing or two about being fierce." Marcus laughed. It was the first real laugh he'd had in days. "She did tell me this morning that she would protect me from mean ladies." "Did she?" "She made a growling face and everything." Wei chuckled. "Then I absolutely must meet her. Bring her to dinner tomorrow evening. My treat. Somewhere with good pancakes." "She would like that." Then it settled. They shook hands again, and Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a very long time. Hope. Real hope. Not the desperate, fragile hope of someone barely surviving, but the solid, grounded hope of someone with a future.
He left the Carlisle Hotel at 11:30. The sun was shining. The city was alive with possibility. He walked 20 blocks before he realized he was crying. He didn't try to stop. He just kept walking, tears streaming down his face, a smile on his lips. Wei Zhongshan's business card in one pocket and the job offer in the other. At noon, he called Mrs. Patterson. "Marcus, how did it go?" "It went well. It went really well." "You got the job?" "I got the job." "Oh, Marcus," her voice cracked. "Oh, I'm so happy for you." "Is Lily awake?" "She's right here. She's been asking about you all morning." There was a shuffling sound, and then Lily's voice came on the line. "Daddy, are you coming home?" "Yeah, baby girl, I'm coming home." "Did the meeting go good?" "It went very good." "Are you still scared?" Marcus wiped his eyes. "No, baby, I'm not scared anymore." "Good, because I didn't want to have to growl at anybody." Marcus laughed through his tears. "I love you, Lily, more than anything in the world." "I love you too, Daddy. Hurry home, okay? Mrs. Patterson said we can make cookies." "Save some dough for me." "No promises." He hung up and started walking faster. Behind him, somewhere in the city, Victoria Ashford was probably waking up to the first wave of phone calls. Investors pulling out, credit lines being reviewed, the empire she had built beginning to crack at the foundations. Marcus didn't think about her. He thought about Lily's smile, about the surgery she would finally get, about the life they were going to build together. He thought about Emily, watching from wherever she was. "I did it," he whispered. "I found a way forward." The wind picked up, and for just a moment he could have sworn he felt a hand on his shoulder. A gentle squeeze. A blessing. Then it was gone, and he was just a man walking through Manhattan, wearing a funeral suit, carrying a folder full of hope. He walked all the way home. By the time he climbed the stairs to his apartment, his legs were aching and his feet were sore. But he didn't care. He pushed open the door, and Lily came running into his arms. "Daddy!" He lifted her up and held her tight. "Hey, baby girl." "You're home." "I'm home." "Did you bring cookies?" "I thought we were making cookies." "We are, but extra cookies are always good." Marcus laughed and carried her into the kitchen, where Mrs. Patterson was waiting with flour on her apron and a knowing smile on her face. "Look at you," she said. "You look like a new man." "I feel like a new man." "Tell me everything." So he did. He told her about Wei Zhongshan and the job offer and the salary and the benefits. He told her about Lily's surgery and the hospital and the future that had suddenly opened up before them. Mrs. Patterson cried. Lily didn't understand most of it, but she understood that Daddy was happy, so she was happy too. They made cookies together, chocolate chip, Lily's favorite. And when the cookies were done, and Mrs. Patterson had gone home, and Lily was covered in chocolate and giggling, Marcus sat down at the kitchen table and looked at his daughter. "Lily, I need to tell you something."
"What, Daddy?"
"Things are going to change. Good changes. We're going to have more money. You're going to get your surgery. We might even move to a bigger apartment." Lily's eyes widened. "A bigger apartment? With my own room?" "Maybe." "With a window?" "Definitely with a window." "Can I have a purple room?" "Any color you want." Lily threw her arms around his neck. "Thank you, Daddy." "For what?" "For being brave, like Mommy said." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Mommy said that?" "In my dream. She said you were being brave and that everything was going to be okay." Lily pulled back and looked at him seriously.
And she was right, wasn't she? Marcus pulled her close again. Yeah, baby, she was right. They sat together in the small kitchen, father and daughter, surrounded by cookie crumbs and the smell of chocolate, the afternoon light streaming through the window. Tomorrow, Marcus would call Loroni and give his notice. Tomorrow, he would start the process of transitioning into his new life. Tomorrow, he would begin the paperwork for Lily's surgery. But today was for this, for holding his daughter, for feeling hope, for believing for the first time in 3 years that the universe might actually be fair. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Chen, this is Derek from the restaurant last night. I got your number from the staff directory. I hope that's okay. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for not speaking up sooner. And I wanted you to know that what you said last night, about being a father being more important than being important, that changed something in me. I don't know what yet, but I wanted to thank you. Good luck with everything. Marcus stared at the message. He thought about Derek, the uncomfortable young man who had sat silently while Victoria humiliated the staff, who had finally found his voice at the end. He typed a reply. Thank you, Derek. It takes courage to reach out. Whatever you're figuring out, trust yourself. You'll find your way. He put the phone down. Lily had fallen asleep in his lap, exhausted from the excitement and the sugar. Her face was peaceful. Her breathing was steady. Marcus stroked her hair. We're going to be okay, baby girl, he whispered. We're going to be okay. Outside, the sun was beginning to set over Queens. The light painted the walls gold and orange and pink. Somewhere in the city, Victoria Ashford was watching her world collapse. Somewhere else, Wei Zhongshan was making phone calls, setting things in motion, keeping promises. And here, in a tiny apartment on the 3rd floor of a building with no elevator, a father held his daughter and allowed himself, for the first time in a very long time, to believe in the future. 2 weeks passed like a dream. Marcus gave his notice at Loroni the day after meeting Wei Zhongshan. Holloway accepted it with a handshake and something that might have been respect. You're making the right call, Chen. Get out while you can. What about you? Holloway looked away. I called my ex-wife. She's letting me see the kids next weekend. First time in 2 years. That's good, Richard. That's really good. Yeah. Holloway's voice was rough. Maybe it's not too late to fix some things. Henri, the chef, threw Marcus a small going-away party in the kitchen after closing. Nothing fancy, just the staff gathered around a table, sharing a bottle of wine that Henri had been saving for a special occasion. To Marcus, Henri said, raising his glass. The only waiter who ever made a billionaire cry. Everyone laughed. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. I'm going to miss you guys. Don't get sentimental on us, Chen. Tanya, the bartender, punched his shoulder. You're going to be a big shot now. Fancy office, expense account. You'll forget all about us, little people. Never. Promise? Promise. Kevin, the teenage busboy, handed Marcus a card signed by everyone on staff. Inside, someone had written, To the man who proved that class isn't about money, it's about character. We'll never forget you. Marcus read it 3 times before he could speak. Thank you, all of you. I wouldn't have survived this place without you. He didn't just survive, Henri said quietly. You showed us what dignity looks like. That's worth more than any tip. The dinner with Wei Zhongshan and Lily happened 3 days after Marcus accepted the job. Wei had chosen a small Italian restaurant in the village. Nothing fancy, just good food and a warm atmosphere. He was waiting at a corner table when Marcus and Lily arrived. Mr. Wei, this is my daughter, Lily. Wei crouched down to Lily's level. Hello, Lily. Your father has told me a lot about you. Lily studied him with those serious eyes of hers. Are you the man who helped my daddy? I hope so. Why did you help him? Wei smiled. Because he deserved help. And because someone helped me once, a long time ago. Lily considered this. That's a good reason. Thank you. I thought so too. Daddy says you're very important. Your father is being kind. I'm just an old man with a lot of money and not enough people to share it with. I have a piggy bank, Lily offered. But it only has $7.32. Wei laughed, a genuine, delighted laugh that transformed his face. $7.32 is a very respectable sum. What are you saving for? A purple bicycle, and maybe a puppy. But Daddy says puppies are expensive. Puppies are expensive, Wei agreed, but they're also wonderful. I had a dog when I was your age. His name was Bao. What kind of dog? A mutt. Brown and white and very fluffy. He followed me everywhere. I want a fluffy dog too. Lily looked at Marcus. Daddy, can I have a fluffy dog? We'll see, baby girl. That means maybe. That means we'll see. Wei caught Marcus's eye and smiled. She's remarkable. She's everything. They ordered dinner. Pasta for Lily, risotto for Marcus, fish for Wei. Lily charmed the waitress into bringing extra breadsticks and spent most of the meal asking Wei questions about China, about his grandchildren, about whether he had ever met a dragon. Dragons are very rare, Wei said seriously. But I saw one once, when I was a boy. It was flying over the mountains near my village. Lily's eyes went wide. Really? Really. It was green and gold and as long as a river. Did it breathe fire? Only a little bit. I think it had a cold. Lily giggled. Dragons can't get colds. This one did. It was sneezing sparks. Marcus watched them talk, a warmth spreading through his chest. It had been so long since Lily had a grandfather figure in her life. Her own grandparents, Emily's parents, had cut off contact after the funeral, blaming Marcus for not being home when the accident happened. As if he could have stopped a delivery truck from running a red light. Mr. Chen, Wei's voice broke into his thoughts. You're very quiet. Just thinking. About how different everything looks now. 2 weeks ago, I was working double shifts just to stay afloat. Now, he gestured vaguely. Now I don't know what to feel. Gratitude, I hope. Gratitude, yes, but also fear. What if I'm not good enough? What if I've forgotten everything I knew? What if you fail? Wei finished. Yes. Wei leaned back in his chair. Mr. Chen, let me tell you something about failure. I have failed more times than I can count. I have made bad investments. I have trusted the wrong people. I have lost money and lost friends and lost sleep over decisions that turned out to be disasters. But you're successful. I am successful because I failed. Each failure taught me something. Each mistake made me stronger. He pointed at Marcus. You have already survived the worst failure imaginable. The loss of your wife. The near loss of your daughter's health. The destruction of your career. And you are still standing. You are still fighting. That tells me everything I need to know about your ability to succeed. Marcus swallowed hard. I don't feel like a fighter. Daddy is a fighter, Lily said suddenly. She had been listening with that serious expression again. He fights every day. He just doesn't make a big deal about it. Wei smiled. Out of the mouths of babes. What does that mean? Lily asked. It means you're very wise for someone so young. I know, Lily nodded. Daddy tells me that all the time. The dinner ended with gelato and promises. Wei promised to have his assistant send over the paperwork for Marcus's new position. Marcus promised to start in 2 weeks, after Lily's school schedule was settled. Lily promised to draw Wei a picture of a dragon with a cold. "I'll treasure it," Wei said solemnly. As they walked home through the evening streets, Lily held Marcus's hand and looked up at him. "Daddy?" "Yeah?" "I like Mr. Wei." "I like him too." "Is he going to be our friend?" "I think so, baby girl. I think so." 1 week before Marcus was scheduled to start his new job, Victoria Ashford made her move. He was at home, going over the orientation materials Wei's assistant had sent, when his phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Mr. Chen?" The voice was young, nervous. "This is Amy Chen, no relation. I'm a reporter with the New York Post. I'm calling about Victoria Ashford." Marcus's stomach tightened. "What about her?" "She's been making statements. About you. About what happened at Leroni that night." Amy paused. "She's claiming that you assaulted her. That you threatened her. That Mr. Wei Zhongshan bribed witnesses to support your story." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. "That's not true. None of that is true." "I know. I've seen the videos. They're all over social media. But Ms. Ashford is threatening to sue anyone who contradicts her version of events. She's already filed a police report." "A police report?" "For assault. She claims you grabbed her arm and threatened to ruin her if she didn't drop the theft accusation." Marcus's hands were shaking. "I never touched her. I never threatened her. There are 50 witnesses." "I know, Mr. Chen. That's why I'm calling. I want to tell the real story. I want to give you a chance to respond before we publish." Marcus took a breath, then another. "What do you need from me?" They talked for an hour. Amy was thorough, professional, sympathetic. She asked about that night at Leroni, about his background, about Lily. Marcus told her everything, or almost everything. He didn't mention Wei's promise to destroy Victoria's business empire. That felt like a confidence he shouldn't break. "One more question," Amy said at the end. "Victoria Ashford is claiming that Wei Zhongshan offered you a job as a bribe to support his version of events. How do you respond to that?" Marcus laughed. It came out bitter and tired. "Mr. Wei offered me a job because I'm qualified for it. I have a master's degree from Georgetown. I spent 4 years as a diplomatic translator at the UN. I speak 7 languages. I've worked with presidents and prime ministers." He paused. "Victoria Ashford looked at me and saw a waiter. Mr. Wei looked at me and saw my credentials. That's the difference between them." Amy was quiet for a moment. "That's a good quote, Mr. Chen. Can I use it?" "Use whatever you need." The article came out 2 days later. Billionaire's bizarre claims. Inside the night Victoria Ashford tried to frame a single dad and failed. It was brutal. Amy had done her homework. She had interviewed staff from Leroni, patrons who had witnessed the confrontation, even Derek, who had provided a detailed account of Victoria's behavior throughout the evening. The videos were embedded in the article, dozens of them, taken from every angle, showing Victoria screaming accusations while Marcus stood barefoot and dignified in the middle of the restaurant. The comments section exploded. "This woman tried to destroy an innocent man because he embarrassed her. She should be in jail. Marcus Chen is a hero. He stood up to a bully and refused to break. I hope Victoria Ashford loses everything. People like her are what's wrong with this country." Within hours, the story had gone viral. It was picked up by CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. Suddenly, everyone in America knew the name Marcus Chen. and everyone knew what Victoria Ashford had tried to do. Marcus's phone rang constantly. Interview requests, book deals, speaking invitations. He ignored all of them. He had a daughter to take care of and a job to start. But the fallout for Victoria was immediate and devastating. Her investors pulled out, just as Wei had promised. Her credit lines were frozen. 3 major deals she had been negotiating collapsed. Her own board of directors called an emergency meeting and voted to remove her as CEO of Ashford Development. Marcus heard about it from Wei, who called him the morning the news broke. "It's done," Wei said simply. "She's finished." "I didn't want this." "I know, but it was necessary. A woman like Victoria Ashford, if you don't stop her completely, she will keep coming. She will find ways to hurt you, to hurt your daughter, to make your life miserable. The only way to be safe is to make sure she has nothing left to fight with." "It feels wrong." "Justice often does, when you're a good person." Wei paused. "But consider this, Mr. Chen. You are not the first person Victoria Ashford has tried to destroy. I've done some research. There have been others. Employees who complained, business partners who crossed her, a nanny who tried to report abuse. All of them silenced. All of them paid off or threatened into compliance." Marcus felt sick. She abused her children? The nanny claimed she saw bruises on Victoria's son. The case was settled out of court. The nanny signed an NDA. Wei's voice hardened. "Victoria Ashford is not a victim, Mr. Chen. She is a predator who finally met someone she couldn't devour." 2 days before Marcus was scheduled to start at Zhongshan Holdings, there was a knock on his apartment door. He opened it to find a woman he didn't recognize. Young, well-dressed, with red-rimmed eyes and nervous hands. "Mr. Chen?" "Yes?" "My name is Rebecca Morrison. I used to work for Victoria Ashford. I was her assistant for 3 years." She swallowed hard. "I need to talk to you. Please, it's important." Marcus hesitated. Then he stepped aside. "Come in." Rebecca sat on the edge of his second-hand couch, like she might bolt at any moment. Her hands were clasped in her lap, knuckles white. "I saw the article," she said. "I saw what she did to you, and I—" She stopped, struggling for words. "I couldn't stay silent anymore." "What do you mean?" "Victoria has files on everyone who's ever crossed her. Recordings, photographs, financial documents, anything she can use as leverage." Rebecca's voice dropped to a whisper. "She has a file on you, Mr. Chen. She's been building it since that night at the restaurant." Marcus felt a chill run through him. "What kind of file?" "Everything. Your address, your daughter's school, your wife's grave, your medical records, your financial records, your employment history." Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. "She was planning to use it. She was planning to make your life a living hell. She told me she was going to make sure you regretted ever opening your mouth." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I can't do it anymore." Rebecca was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "I've helped her destroy so many people. I've watched her ruin lives and laughed about it over drinks. I told myself it was just business. I told myself they deserved it." She shook her head. "But you didn't deserve it. You were just a waiter trying to feed his family. And she wanted to destroy you because you made her look stupid." Marcus didn't know what to say. He sat down across from Rebecca and waited. "I have copies," Rebecca continued, wiping her eyes, "of everything. All her files, all her schemes, all the evidence of what she's done to people over the years." She reached into her purse and pulled out a USB drive. "It's all here, every dirty secret, every crime she's committed and covered up." She held the drive out to Marcus. "Take it. Give it to the police. Give it to the press. I don't care.
Just make sure she can never hurt anyone again.
Marcus looked at the USB drive. It was small, innocuous, just a piece of plastic and metal. But he understood what it represented. The final nail in Victoria Ashford's coffin. "Why me?" he asked. "Why not go to the police yourself?" "Because I'm scared," Rebecca's voice cracked. "I'm scared of what she'll do to me if she finds out. I'm scared of going to prison for the things I helped her do. I'm scared of everything." She pushed the drive toward him. "But you're not scared. I saw you on that video. You stood there while she tried to destroy you, and you didn't even blink. You're the only person I've ever seen stand up to her and win." Marcus took the drive. "What's on here?" "Everything. Tax fraud, witness tampering, bribery, the settlement with the nanny, all the details, including what really happened to Victoria's son." Rebecca's voice hardened. "She beat that boy, Mr. Chen. She beat him because he spilled juice on her designer rug. He was 4 years old." Marcus felt rage rise in his chest. Cold, pure, righteous rage. Where is he now? The son. With his father. They divorced years ago. Victoria got the company. He got the kids. It was the only decent thing she ever did, letting them go. Marcus looked at the USB drive in his hand. He thought about Lily, about what he would do if anyone ever hurt her. "I'll make sure this gets to the right people," he said quietly. Rebecca let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for years. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Call me Marcus." "Marcus." She smiled through her tears. "Thank you, Marcus. And I'm sorry for everything, for being part of it, for taking so long to do the right thing. You're doing it now. That's what matters." After Rebecca left, Marcus sat alone in his apartment for a long time. He looked at the USB drive. He thought about Victoria Ashford, the rage in her eyes, the cruelty in her voice, the threats she had made against his daughter. He thought about Rebecca's words. "She beat that boy. He was 4 years old." He thought about all the people Victoria had destroyed over the years, all the lives she had ruined, all the pain she had caused. Then he picked up his phone and called Wei Zhongshan. "Mr. Chen, is everything all right?" "I need your advice." "Of course." Marcus told him about Rebecca's visit, about the USB drive, about what it contained. Wei was silent for a long moment. "What do you want to do?" he finally asked. "I don't know. That's why I'm calling you." "What does your heart tell you?" Marcus thought about it. "My heart tells me that Victoria Ashford should face justice for what she's done. Not just to me, to everyone. The nanny, the employees, her own son." "And your head?" "My head tells me that getting involved will make me a target, that Victoria still has resources, still has allies, still has ways to make my life difficult." Marcus paused. "But my head also tells me that if I don't do something, she'll just find new victims, new people to destroy, new children to hurt." Wei was quiet again. Then he said, "Do you know why I helped you that night, Mr. Chen?" "Because someone helped you once." "That's part of it, but there's another reason." Wei's voice was serious. "I helped you because you reminded me of something I had forgotten. Something important." "What?" "That power without conscience is destruction, and that the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing." Marcus felt the words settle into his chest. "So I should act." "You should do what your conscience tells you to do, not what I tell you, not what anyone tells you." Wei paused. "But I will say this. A man who stands by while children are hurt is not a man I want to know. And a man who uses his own safety as an excuse to ignore injustice is not a man who can look at himself in the mirror. Marcus looked at the USB drive.
If I give this to the police, to the press, Victoria will know it came from me. She'll know I'm the one who finished her. Yes. And she'll hate me forever. She'll spend the rest of her life trying to get revenge. Perhaps. Or perhaps she'll be too busy defending herself in court to worry about you. Way's voice softened. Marcus, you cannot control what Victoria Ashford does. You can only control what you do. The question is, when your daughter is old enough to understand what happened, what do you want to tell her? That her father played it safe? Or that her father stood up for what was right, even when it was hard? Marcus closed his eyes. He saw Lily's face, her serious eyes, her fierce little growl. Daddy, are you being brave? Yeah, baby, I'm trying. He opened his eyes. I know what I have to do. The next morning, Marcus Chen walked into the Manhattan District Attorney's office with a USB drive in his pocket and the weight of a decision on his shoulders. He asked to speak with someone about Victoria Ashford. They listened, and when he was done, when he had handed over the drive and told them everything Rebecca had told him, the assistant DA looked at him with something like admiration. You understand this could make you a target, Mr. Chen. I understand. You're willing to testify if it comes to that. I'm willing. Why? Marcus thought about Lily, about Emily, about the boy who was 4 years old and got beaten for spilling juice. Because some things are more important than being safe. The DA nodded slowly. We'll be in touch, Mr. Chen. And thank you. This is exactly what we needed to reopen several investigations that were closed due to lack of evidence. Marcus stood up. He shook hands with the DA. He walked out of the office and into the bright morning sun. His phone buzzed. A text from Wei. It is done? It is done. How do you feel? Marcus looked up at the sky. It was clear and blue and endless. He thought about Victoria Ashford and the reckoning that was coming for her. He thought about Lily and the future that was waiting for them. He thought about Emily and the promise he had made at her grave, to be a good man, to be a good father, to never stop fighting for what was right. He typed his reply. I feel free. 3 hours later, Victoria Ashford was arrested at her penthouse apartment. The charges? Tax fraud, witness tampering, child abuse, and obstruction of justice. The news spread like wildfire, and in the small apartment in Queens, a single father held his daughter's hand and watched the story unfold on television. Daddy, who is that lady? Nobody important, baby girl. She looks mad. She is mad, but she can't hurt anyone anymore. Lily looked up at him with those serious eyes. Did you stop her, Daddy? Marcus thought about everything he had been through. The humiliation, the fear, the courage it had taken to stand up, to speak out, to do the right thing even when it was terrifying. Yeah, baby, I helped stop her. Lily smiled, that bright, beautiful smile that looked so much like Emily's. I knew you were brave, Daddy. Marcus pulled her close. I learned it from you. 6 months later, Marcus Chen stood at the window of his new office on the 42nd floor of the Zhongshan Holdings building in Midtown Manhattan. Below him, the city stretched out in every direction. Millions of people, millions of stories, millions of struggles and triumphs happening every second of every day. He had been one of those people once, invisible and desperate, fighting just to survive another week. Now he was here, Director of Cross-Cultural Relations, a corner office with his name on the door, a salary that still felt unreal every time he saw the deposit in his bank account. His phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Patterson. "Lily's home from school. She wants to show you her art project. Says it's very important," in capital letters. Marcus smiled and typed back, "Tell her I'll be home by 6. And the capital letters means it must be very, very important." He turned back to his desk. There was still work to do. A presentation for Wei's board meeting tomorrow. Emails from partners in Beijing and Tokyo. A conference call with the UN that he was actually looking forward to. But first, he allowed himself a moment. He looked at the photograph on his desk. Emily and Lily, taken 2 weeks before the accident. They were at the beach, both of them laughing, their hair wild from the wind. Emily had her arm around Lily, and Lily was holding up a seashell she'd found. "I did it," Marcus said quietly to the photograph. "I found our way through." There was a knock on his door. "Come in." It was Sarah, his assistant, a sharp young woman from Colombia, who reminded him of himself at that age. Hungry, smart, underestimated. "Mr. Chen, you have a visitor. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says you know him. Derek something?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Derek? Send him in." A moment later, Derek walked through the door. He looked different than he had that night at Laroni. Less polished, more real. He was wearing jeans and a simple sweater, instead of the designer suit Victoria had probably picked out for him. His face had lost that uncomfortable, uncertain look. "Mr. Chen, Marcus." Derek extended his hand. "Thank you for seeing me." Marcus shook it. "I wasn't expecting you. How did you find me?" "It wasn't hard. You're kind of famous now." Derek smiled awkwardly. "The waiter who brought down Victoria Ashford. There have been about 100 articles." "I've been avoiding them." "Probably wise." Derek sat down in the chair across from Marcus's desk. "I wanted to come sooner. I've been meaning to for months. But I didn't know what to say." "And now you do?" "Not really, but I figured I should try anyway." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "What's on your mind, Derek?" Derek was quiet for a moment. He looked out the window at the city below, then back at Marcus. "I've been thinking about that night. A lot. What you said, about being a father being more important than being important." He swallowed. "I didn't grow up with a father. He left when I was 3. Never came back. My mom raised me alone. I'm sorry. Don't be. She was amazing. Worked 2 jobs, made sure I had everything I needed." Derek's voice softened. "She died last year. Cancer. I was holding her hand at the end." "Derek, I'm sorry. I didn't know. How could you? We met for about 5 minutes, and most of that time I was sitting there like a coward while Victoria tore you apart." Derek shook his head. "I've been thinking about that too. Why I didn't say anything. Why I just sat there. You were scared. I was pathetic. There's a difference." Derek met Marcus's eyes. "My mom would have been ashamed of me. She didn't raise a man who lets bullies get away with it. She raised a man who stands up. You did stand up. At the end, you walked away from Victoria. That took courage. That took embarrassment. I was humiliated, and I wanted to get away from the scene." Derek's voice was bitter. "That's not courage. That's self-preservation." Marcus studied him for a moment. "Why are you here, Derek? Really?" Derek took a breath. "I want to do something meaningful, with my life, with the platform I have." He laughed humorlessly. "I'm a fitness influencer. Do you know how stupid that sounds? I post pictures of my abs and people pay me money. That's my contribution to society. There's nothing wrong with fitness.
There's nothing right about it either. Not the way I was doing it. Derek leaned forward. After that night, I started volunteering at a shelter downtown. Just serving food, talking to people, trying to be useful. And I realized something.
What? That I've been wasting my life, chasing followers and sponsorships and dates with women like Victoria, who only wanted me because I made her look good. Derek's eyes were bright with something. Shame, maybe, or determination. I want to do better. I want to be better. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. What do you need from me? Advice? Guidance? Maybe a kick in the ass when I need it? Derek smiled slightly. You're the only person I know who actually walks the walk. Everyone else just talks. I'm not a mentor, Derek. I'm a guy who got lucky. Bullshit. The word came out sharp, surprising them both. Sorry, but that's bullshit and you know it. You didn't get lucky. You stood up for yourself when it would have been easier to stay down. You took a chance when everything was against you. You built a life for your daughter out of nothing. Derek shook his head. That's not luck. That's character. Marcus thought about Wei Zhongshan, about Margaret Liu, about the chain of people helping people that had brought him to this moment. There's a program, he said slowly, that Zhongshan Holdings runs. We sponsor young people from disadvantaged backgrounds, help them get education, training, job placement. It's not glamorous. It's a lot of hard work for not much recognition. I'm interested. I haven't finished. The program needs volunteers, people who can relate to the kids, who can show them that success is possible, even when the odds are against you. Marcus paused. Someone like you might be useful. Derek's face changed. You'd let me be part of that? I'd let you apply, like everyone else. No special treatment because you knew Victoria Ashford. I don't want special treatment. Good, because you won't get it. Marcus stood up and extended his hand. Talk to Sarah on your way out. She'll give you the application. Derek shook his hand firmly. Thank you, Marcus. I won't let you down. Don't let yourself down. That's the only person who matters. After Derek left, Marcus sat alone in his office for a few minutes. He thought about the strange twists of fate that had brought him here. A cruel woman's attempt at humiliation, a language spoken in anger, a businessman reading a newspaper in the corner of a restaurant. Any one of those things could have gone differently, and his life would be completely different now. But they hadn't, and here he was. His phone rang. It was Dr. Patel from Columbia Presbyterian. Mr. Chen, I'm calling with good news. We've completed the final evaluation, and Lily has been approved for the surgery. We can schedule it for next month. Marcus felt his heart stop, then restart. Next month? The surgical team has an opening on the 15th. It's Dr. Morrison. He's the best pediatric cardiac surgeon in the country. Your insurance has pre-approved everything. All we need is your confirmation. Marcus closed his eyes. 8 months ago, this call would have been impossible. The surgery Lily needed cost $300,000. The specialist who could perform it had a 2-year waiting list. There was no path, no hope, no way forward. Now there was. Yes, he said, his voice thick. Yes, we'll take the appointment. Thank you, Dr. Patel. Thank you. He hung up and stared at the phone in his hand. Then he picked up the photograph of Emily and Lily. She's going to be okay, he whispered. Our baby is going to be okay. That night, Marcus told Lily about the surgery. They were sitting at the kitchen table in their new apartment, a real apartment, with 2 bedrooms and a window that looked out at a small park. Lily had her own room now, painted purple at her request, with a bookshelf full of books and a stuffed dragon that Wei had given her. "Lily, I need to talk to you about something important." Lily looked up from her homework. "Is it about the surgery?" Marcus blinked. "How did you know?" "I'm not a baby, Daddy. I know my heart is broken." She said it matter-of-factly, without self-pity. "Dr. Patel told me last time. She said there was a tiny hole that needed fixing." "That's right." "And now there's a doctor who can fix it?" "Yes. His name is Dr. Morrison. He's the best in the whole country." Lily considered this. "Will it hurt?" Marcus wanted to lie. He wanted to tell her it would be easy, painless, nothing to worry about. But he had promised Emily, and himself, that he would always tell Lily the truth, even when the truth was hard. "It might hurt a little bit, after, but the doctors will give you medicine to help with the pain, and I'll be there the whole time, before and after and every second in between." "Will you hold my hand?" "I'll hold your hand until you tell me to stop." Lily nodded slowly. "Okay." "Okay?" "Yeah, if you're there, I won't be scared." She looked at him with those serious eyes. "You make me brave, Daddy." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. "You make me brave too, baby girl." Lily got up from her chair and climbed into his lap. She wrapped her arms around his neck and hugged him tight. "Daddy?" "Yeah?" "When my heart is fixed, can I get a puppy?" Marcus laughed through his tears. "We'll see." "That means maybe." "That means yes." Lily pulled back, her eyes wide. "Really?" "Really. After your surgery, when you're all better, we'll go to the shelter and pick out a puppy together." "A fluffy one?" "The fluffiest one they have." Lily threw her arms around him again. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, Lily. More than anything in the world." The surgery was scheduled for March 15th. Marcus took 2 weeks off work. He spent every moment with Lily, reading her stories, watching her favorite movies, taking her to the park to feed the ducks. He wanted to fill her up with good memories, just in case. He tried not to think about the just in case. The night before the surgery, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat in Lily's room, watching her breathe, memorizing the curve of her cheek, the way her eyelashes rested against her skin. "You're being creepy, Daddy." He jumped. "I thought you were asleep." "I was, but I could feel you staring." Lily opened her eyes. "Are you worried?" "A little." "Don't be." She reached out and took his hand. "I'm going to be fine. Dr. Morrison is the best in the country. You said so yourself." "I know." "And you'll be there the whole time." "I will." "So there's nothing to worry about." Lily squeezed his hand. "Besides, I made a deal with Mommy." Marcus felt his heart clench. "What kind of deal?" "I asked her to watch over me during the surgery, to make sure everything goes right." Lily smiled. "She said yes." She said yes?" "In my dream, she was there and she hugged me and she said she'd be with me the whole time, just like you." Lily's eyes were clear and certain. "So I'm not scared, Daddy. I have you and Mommy both. I'm the luckiest girl in the world." Marcus couldn't speak. He just held his daughter's hand and let the tears fall. "Go to sleep, Daddy," Lily said gently. "You need rest too. Big day tomorrow." "Since when are you the parent?" "Since you started being creepy and sitting in my room." Marcus laughed, despite himself. "Fair enough." He leaned down and kissed her forehead. "Good night, baby girl." "Good night, Daddy." He went to his own room, but he still couldn't sleep. So he did what he always did when he needed to talk to Emily. He went to the window,
and looked up at the stars. "Hey," he said quietly. "I know you're up there. I know you're watching." The stars glittered in silence. "Tomorrow is the big day. Lily's surgery. I'm terrified, Em. I've never been so terrified in my life. Not even when you—" His voice broke. "Not even then." He took a breath. "But Lily says you made her a promise that you'll be there, watching over her."
"I don't know if that's true. I don't know if you can hear me or see me or any of that. But if you can—" He pressed his hand against the cold glass. "Please keep her safe. Please bring her back to me. I can't lose her, Em. I can't lose her, too." The wind picked up outside. For just a moment, Marcus could have sworn he felt something brush against his cheek. Like a kiss. Like a blessing. Then it was gone, and he was alone with the stars. "I love you," he whispered. "I'll always love you." He went to bed, and, somehow, he slept. The morning of the surgery, Marcus held Lily's hand as they wheeled her into the operating room. "See you soon, Daddy." "See you soon, baby girl." "Don't worry. Mommy's here. I can feel her." The doors closed, and Lily was gone. Marcus stood in the hallway, unable to move. A hand touched his shoulder. Wei Zhongshan. "I didn't know you were coming," Marcus said, his voice rough. "Where else would I be?" Wei guided him toward the waiting room. "Come, sit. The surgery will take several hours." "How did you know?" "Sarah told me. I hope you don't mind." "No, I didn't expect." "You are family now, Marcus." Wei's voice was gentle but firm. "When family is in need, we show up. That is what family does." They sat together in the waiting room. Wei didn't try to fill the silence with empty reassurances. He just sat there, solid and present, a rock in the storm. Hours passed. Marcus couldn't eat, couldn't read, couldn't do anything but stare at the door and wait for someone to come through it. Finally, after 4 hours and 37 minutes, Marcus had been counting, Dr. Morrison appeared. Marcus was on his feet before the doctor had taken 3 steps. "Is she okay? Is she—" "She's fine," Dr. Morrison smiled. "The surgery was a complete success. We repaired the defect. Her heart is strong. She's going to make a full recovery." Marcus felt his knees buckle. Wei caught him, held him upright. "She's okay?" "She's perfect, Mr. Chen. Your daughter is going to live a long, healthy life." Marcus didn't remember falling. He didn't remember crying. He just remembered Wei's arms around him, holding him up, and the sound of his own voice saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," over and over again. When they let him see Lily, she was still groggy from the anesthesia. Her face was pale, and there were tubes and wires everywhere. But her eyes opened when he took her hand. "Daddy?" "I'm here, baby girl. I'm right here." "Did it work?" "It worked. Dr. Morrison fixed your heart. You're going to be okay." Lily smiled weakly. "Told you. Mommy was watching." Marcus laughed through his tears. "Yeah, baby. Mommy was watching." Lily's eyes drifted closed. "Daddy?" "Yeah?" "You can stop holding my hand now. It's getting sweaty." Marcus laughed again, louder this time. "Never. I'm never letting go." "You're so dramatic." But she squeezed his hand, and she didn't let go, either. 1 year later, Marcus stood in a cemetery in Queens, holding a bouquet of sunflowers, Emily's favorite. Lily was beside him, holding the leash of a small, fluffy dog named Bao, after the dog Wei had told her about at dinner. "Hi, Mommy,"
Lily said. "We brought you flowers. And Bao wanted to say hi too." The dog wagged his tail and sniffed at the headstone. Marcus set the flowers down carefully. He traced his fingers over Emily's name. Emily Chen, beloved wife and mother, 1990 to 2022, forever in our hearts. "A lot has happened since the last time we visited," Marcus said quietly. "Lily's surgery was a success. She's healthy now, running around, driving me crazy, just like you always said she would." He smiled. "I got a promotion at work. Wei says I'm the best hire he's ever made. I think he's just being nice, but I'll take it. We moved again. Bigger apartment this time. Lily has a huge room with a window that looks out at a garden. She planted tomatoes. Most of them died, but she's determined to try again next year." Lily giggled. "They didn't die, Daddy. They just went to plant heaven." That's one way to put it." Marcus took a breath. "I wish you could see her, Em. She's so much like you. Stubborn, brave, too smart for her own good. She told her teacher last week that she wants to be a dragon veterinarian when she grows up." "It's a real job," Lily protested. "If anyone can make it real, it's you, baby girl." He looked back at Emily's headstone. "I miss you, Em. Every day. There are moments when I forget, just for a second, and I turn to say something to you, and you're not there. Those moments are the hardest. But they're getting fewer. Not because I love you less. I'll never love you less. But because I'm learning to carry the grief differently. Does that make sense?" The wind rustled through the trees. Somewhere, a bird was singing. "Lily keeps me going. She keeps me sane. She makes me laugh when I want to cry. And she holds my hand when I'm scared. And she reminds me every single day why I have to keep fighting." Marcus's voice cracked. "You gave me the greatest gift, Em. You gave me her. And I promise I will spend the rest of my life being worthy of that gift." He stood in silence for a moment. Then Lily tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy?" "Yeah, baby?" "Can I talk to Mommy alone for a minute?" Marcus looked at his daughter, this fierce, beautiful, impossible little girl who had saved him just as surely as he had saved her. "Of course. I'll wait by the car." He walked away, giving her privacy. But he glanced back once and saw Lily kneeling by the headstone, her lips moving, Bao sitting patiently beside her. He wondered what she was saying. He wondered if Emily could hear. 5 minutes later, Lily came running back, Bao bounding alongside her. "Ready to go?" "What did you tell Mommy?" Lily smiled mysteriously. "That's between me and her. Secret conversations, huh? Girls only. No daddies allowed." Marcus laughed. "Fair enough." They walked back to the car together, father, daughter, and one very fluffy dog. As they drove away, Marcus looked in the rear-view mirror at the cemetery disappearing behind them. "Thank you," he whispered. For Lily. For the love they'd shared. For the memories that would never fade. For everything. That evening, Wei Zhongshan came for dinner. It had become a monthly tradition, the old man showing up with gifts for Lily and advice for Marcus, sharing stories about his youth and listening to stories about theirs. "So," Wei said, settling into the couch with a cup of tea, "I have news." "Good news or bad news?" "Interesting news," Wei smiled. "Victoria Ashford was sentenced yesterday." Marcus went still. He hadn't thought about Victoria in months. She had faded from his life like a bad dream, replaced by better things. "Sentenced to what?" 12 years. Tax fraud, witness tampering, obstruction of justice." Wei paused. And the child abuse charges. They added 5 years for those. 17 years total. Yes, she'll be in her 60s when she gets out, assuming good behavior. Wei's expression was unreadable. The empire she built is gone. Her assets have been seized. Her name is synonymous with cruelty and corruption. Marcus should have felt satisfied, vindicated, triumphant. Instead, he felt nothing. "I thought I'd be happier," he admitted, when this day finally came. Revenge rarely brings the satisfaction we imagine. It's not revenge. It's justice. She hurt people. She needed to face consequences. And she has. But her suffering doesn't undo the suffering she caused. Wei set down his teacup. The question is not what happens to Victoria Ashford. The question is what happens to you. What do you mean? You have spent the last year building a new life, a good life, for yourself and for your daughter. Wei's eyes were kind. Victoria Ashford is in the past. The question is whether you can leave her there. Marcus thought about it. He thought about the night at Loranie, the humiliation, the fear, the moment when Victoria had tried to destroy him and he had refused to break. He thought about standing barefoot in the middle of that restaurant, with nothing but his dignity and his truth. He thought about everything that had happened since: the job, the surgery, the new apartment, the small, fluffy dog currently trying to climb under Wei's lap. "She's already in the past," Marcus said finally. "She has been for a while. I just didn't realize it until now." Wei smiled. "Good. Then you are truly free." Lily came running into the room, interrupting the moment with all the subtlety of a 5-year-old. "Mr. Wei! Mr. Wei! I finished my dragon picture!" She thrust a piece of paper at him. It showed a large green dragon with sparkles coming out of its nose, standing next to a small girl with dark hair. "It's beautiful," Wei said seriously. "Is this the dragon you're going to be a veterinarian for?" "Yes, his name is Sparkle, and he has a cold, just like Bao did when you were little." "Ah, yes, dragons with colds. Very serious business." "Very serious," Lily agreed solemnly. Marcus watched them together, his daughter and the man who had changed their lives. He thought about the chain of kindness that had brought them here. Margaret Liu helping a young tea server in Hong Kong. That tea server becoming Wei Zhongshan. Wei seeing something in Marcus that night at Loranie. Marcus standing up, speaking out, refusing to be invisible. And now Lily, drawing dragons, dreaming impossible dreams, carrying the torch forward into whatever future awaited her. "Daddy?" Lily looked up at him. "Why are you smiling?" "Because I'm happy, baby girl." "Happy about what?" Marcus looked at Wei, at Bao, at the apartment filled with sunlight and warmth and love. About everything. Later that night, after Wei had gone home and Lily was asleep, Marcus sat alone in the living room. He held the photograph from his desk, Emily and Lily at the beach, laughing in the wind. He thought about everything he had lost, and everything he had found. The phone call 3 years ago that had shattered his world. The nights of despair, wondering how he would survive. The day he had taken the job at Loranie, trading his dreams for his daughter's life. The woman in the black dress who had tried to destroy him. The words he had spoken in Mandarin, the words that had changed everything. The man in the corner with the newspaper, the job offer, the surgery, the second chance. He thought about Emily and the promise he had made at her grave. To be a good man, to be a good father, to never stop fighting for what was right. He had kept that promise. Not perfectly, not easily, but he had kept it. "I miss you, Em," he whispered to the photograph. "Every day. But I think I'm going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay." He pressed the photograph to his heart. "Thank you for Lily. Thank you for the time we had. Thank you for loving me, even when I didn't deserve it." The wind rattled the windows. Bao, asleep at Marcus's feet, whimpered in his dreams. Marcus set the photograph down and walked to Lily's room. She was sleeping peacefully, her chest rising and falling with each steady breath. Her heart, her perfect, repaired, beautiful heart, beating strong. He leaned down and kissed her forehead. "Good night, baby girl." Daddy?" "Yeah?" "I love you." "I love you too, more than anything in the world." "I know." She smiled without opening her eyes. "You tell me every day." "And I'll tell you every day for the rest of my life." "Good."
She rolled over, already falling back asleep. That's the way it should be. Marcus stood in the doorway of his daughter's room, watching her breathe, feeling the weight of everything he had overcome and everything that lay ahead. He thought about the man he had been a year ago, exhausted, desperate, invisible. He thought about the man he was now, standing in the light, seen and valued, with a future worth fighting for. And he understood something he hadn't understood before, that the measure of a man was not in what he achieved, or what he owned, or how the world saw him. The measure of a man was in what he did when everything was taken away. How he treated people who couldn't help him. Whether he stood up when standing up was hard. Marcus Chen had been a diplomat, and then a waiter, and now an executive. But more than any of those things, he was a father. And that was the only title that mattered. He walked back to the living room and looked out the window at the city lights stretching to the horizon. Somewhere out there, Victoria Ashford was beginning the first night of her 17-year sentence. Somewhere else, Derek was volunteering at a shelter, trying to become the man his mother had raised him to be. Somewhere, Wei Zhongshan was looking at the photograph of himself as a young tea server, remembering Margaret Liu and the chance she had given him. And here, in a warm apartment in Manhattan, a single father was watching over his sleeping daughter, grateful for every breath, every heartbeat, every impossible second of this beautiful, difficult, miraculous life. The wind picked up outside. Marcus closed his eyes and let himself feel it all, the grief and the joy, the loss and the love, the past and the future, all of it swirling together into something that felt like peace. "We made it, Em," he whispered. "We made it." And in the silence of the night, with his daughter safe and his heart full, Marcus Chen understood the truth that Victoria Ashford would never learn. That real power was not in money or status or the ability to destroy. Real power was in the courage to stand up when the world wanted you to kneel. Real power was in the choice to be kind when cruelty was easier. Real power was in the love you gave and the love you received and the lives you touched along the way. Victoria Ashford had $400 million and a name that once made people tremble. Marcus Chen had a daughter who drew dragons, and a dog named Bao, and a photograph of a woman he would love forever. And in the end, that was all that mattered. That was everything.